Hello and welcome to this granny flower wheel purse tutorial. I'm going to be showing you two different views of yarn because there's many colors in our bag. This would be a great way for you to use your scrap yarn as well. So to begin with, on the yarn I have Michael's Impeccable in the color Butterscotch. I have Red Heart Super Saver in the color Rogue. I use many different brands and they all work together very well. Here's another Michael's Impeccable in the color Arbor Rose. Now when I bought this, it was missing its label, but it's by Red Heart Super Saver and the color is Buff Speck. Got the cute little specks in it. And the last one for the center port will be Red Heart Super Saver in the color Black. Now the tools that I'll be using is a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, the kind that you can put yarn through the eye. The hook that I'm using is an H 5.00 millimeter. For the wheel portion of our purse, which consists of squares and triangles, I've chosen 5 different colors. The first one is Michael's Impeccable Brights in the color Bright Sky Blue. The second one is Michael's Impeccable in the color Teal. The camera is showing a different color than what it is, but it's more of a bluish, very pretty color. The next one here is by Michael's, by Craft Smart. I really like their yarns. I have made afghans from them before. And this color is turquoise. I have a Red Heart Super Saver in the color Blue Suede. And this is a very pretty color too. And the last one is Michael's Impeccable in the color Kelly Green. To begin our tutorial, we are going to start with our centerpiece that has our flower in it. I'm going to be starting with a magic circle. I'm encouraging you to have a tail of about 6 to 8 inches long so that we can weave it in and reinforce the magic circle. So let's start with our magic circle. And tighten your first chain on that magic circle. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. This chain 3 will count as a double crochet. Double crochet into the circle, chain 1. We will now begin our repeat. Double crochet into the circle, our second double crochet into the circle, chain 1. Repeat the 2 double crochets into the circle with the chain 1 4 more times, and I will meet you when you have finished. You should have 6 sets of 2 double crochet and chain 1. At the last set of 2 double crochet, we're going to tighten our circle. Do not chain 1. We're going to place a single crochet a slip stitch into the top of chain 3. The slip stitch will be wide enough so it can act as a chain 1 for the in-between for our next row. Go ahead and cut your yarn. The second color I'll be using is the Arbor Rose, which is a pink color. Moving on to our second color, we're going to start in the chain 1 space, and we're going to begin with a standing double crochet. To make a standing double crochet, place your finger on the loop that's on the hook, yarn over into the chain 1 space, draw up a loop, over 2, take your finger off the loop and through the last 2, and that makes 1 standing double crochet. Let's make a second double crochet in the same space, chain 2, 1, 2, and in our same space 2 double crochet, 1, 2, chain 1. In our next chain 1 space, which in my case will be where I did a slip stitch, or you can count over the 2 double crochets, do the same thing there, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then chain 1 before you move on to your next chain 1 space. Repeat this 5 more times. When you get to the end, we're going to slip stitch it closed. Here you can see we have our hexagon shape. So let's close this row off. We're going to slip stitch into the first double crochet, and we're going to cut our yarn, and we're going to have a second color, which will be the Rogue. We are going to be making the tops of our flower. So let's begin with a standing double crochet in the chain 2 space. Place your finger on the loop, yarn over, hook into the chain 2 space, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to be placing 6 more double crochets in our chain 2 space for a total of 7. There's 3, 4, 5. I need to slide it over. 6 and 7. And this is what we have so far. Looks like my black buff speck is starting to make its appearance. Okay. So in our chain 1 space, before we get there, we're going to chain 1 after the 7 double crochets. In our chain 1 space, we're going to do 1 single crochet, chain 1, and then in the next chain 2 space, we're going to repeat what we did right here. 7 total double crochets, chain 1, single crochet in the chain 1 space, chain 1, and then 7 double crochets in the chain 2 space. Repeat this around, and I will meet you back here where we will slip stitch this closed and move on to our next color. After doing the last single crochet, we're going to slip stitch into the first double crochet of the next set of 7 double crochets. So let's slip stitch into that, cut your yarn, and we will start with the black next. Before we move on to our next color, let's go ahead and start weaving in our ends back here, and especially your magic circle. Make sure that you weave under the centers of the double crochets that are there. To make an easy threading on your needle, place it between your 4 fingers, bring it up from the bottom, pinch it to the needle. You'll have a small fold of yarn here, and work that fold into the eye of the needle. And where your yarn has come out, you see the direction that it's going to be going is clockwise. Go on in, and of course I'm on camera and it just doesn't want to cooperate, does it? Go ahead and go around one more time, and then go counterclockwise after you go over one yarn to make it so that you can lock that in, because when you cut the magic circle tail, it is not a guarantee that it'll stay there. So if I was to cut this right now, over time it would slowly work its way out. So I have one yarn right here, go over the top of that and go back about 3 or 4 double crochets, and then do it one more time, go over one yarn, that'll help lock it in place, and then come on out. Then you can cut your magic circle tail. Weave in the rest of these, and then we'll get started on our black, which will outline our flower. Alright, let's go on to accenting our flower. Now remember that we have 7 double crochets and then 1 single crochet. We also have the chain 1 in between. We are not going to be placing any stitches in those chain 1 spaces. So pull up one of your 7 double crochets. Since I am right-handed, I'm going to show you what I know from the right side. We have one post right here. This is our double crochet. At the top, you'll see that our loop is on the right-hand side. This is where we're going to insert our hook. The one next to it is the chain 1. We are not going to do that one. We want to do the double crochet. So at the top of that double crochet, go ahead and insert your hook, and we're going to make one standing single crochet. Okay, just drew up a loop and went through, and so here we have one standing single crochet. In our next loop, another single crochet. We're going to be placing 7 single crochets across the top. Now I do recommend that you do not go tight around this, to try and keep it as loose as you possibly can. And then after you count 7 single crochets, remember, do not single crochet in that chain before the single crochet of the previous row. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now most people who make this flower go to this level here. Because of the purse and because I wanted to change the look just a tiny bit, we're going to be dropping down to where my yellow is, and we're going to go in between the two double crochets from the center or the first row. So your finger on the loop, yarn over the hook, insert your hook in between the two double crochets, okay, and bring all your work to the back and draw up a loop. Now try to make it as loose as possible. Yarn over and through all three on the hook. Okay, now find your next double crochet, and at the top where that chain is, not the chain stitch but the part of the double crochet, you want to place your next single crochet. So here we have one. This count that we're doing is important for when we put our next row on. We want to make sure that we have the same number of stitches that's necessary for when we attach our squares and our triangles. That's why I'm emphasizing the importance of getting these numbers correct on this row with what I'm using as the black yarn. So here I put my half double crochet in, make it very long, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So our next one is our chain stitch. So finger on the loop, yarn over, go down in between the two, take your other yarn, go through the back and bring up a loop, and then make it so that everything is even from here all the way down to there, and then yarn over and go through all three on the hook. And then we're going to skip this chain and into the top of the double crochet on the next 7 double crochets. Continue this all the way around, and I'll meet you here and show you how to finish it off. Alright, let's go ahead and finish the last long half double crochet. Yarn over and down through that center, and then pull it up here and finish the half double crochet. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we have to slip stitch into that first single crochet. So let's slip stitch there, and there we go. Little tail. Okay, now I'm sure if yours looks like mine all bunched up, go ahead and work with it and stretch them petals out. When we do put the hexagon shape on it, it will lay flat with no problem. Just making sure that when you did your long half double crochets that they were the same height as the rest. So we all know that when we do things in crochet, sometimes it needs a little encouragement, because when you work these stitches in, you have to make them fit. Okay, so our next color is going to be what I'm using as buff. We'll be doing 2 rows of that, so go ahead and get a slip knot on your hook and we'll start in just a second. I have a slip knot on my hook, and we are going to start at the first single crochet past that long half double crochet, and we're putting in a double crochet, so you want to make a standing double crochet. So place your finger on your loop on the hook, yarn over and into that first single crochet. Let's place our first double crochet. Let's add 3 more double crochets, 1 per stitch, as we go around the top of this curve of our flower. So I have 2, here's number 3, and number 4. Your fourth one should be your center top. Chain 1, and in the same space place another double crochet. This will be a corner for the hexagon shape. You'll notice that all of these at the top of these flowers will have that. So let's double crochet in the next single crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3 we're going to place in. Here's 2, here's 3, and let me fix my yarn. Sorry about that, it got caught up inside the skein. Okay, so we have the one that we did in the same space, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go into this half double one, and then into the single crochet from the previous row. We're still making double crochets, so here's 1, 1, 2, 3. Add 3 more double crochets, 1 in each stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Okay, so let's go back to where we had our 2 double crochets and chain 1. The spacing between here, we're going to count in the same space that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So from one corner that includes the one from 2 and 1 space, we have 9 across. And we chained 1 here, so we're going to double crochet in the same space. So this is number 1 going in this direction here. So we want to place a total of 9. So we have the single crochets. We should do 3 of those. Then we have 1 at the half double. And then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that fourth one will be our corner again. Here's 2, 3, and 4. Chain 1. Okay? So here's our second part of our hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So repeat that around till you get to here, and I'll show you how to finish this row, and we'll build up to the second row. Alright, how does yours look? Does it look like mine? Okay, so we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first standing double crochet. Now chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now this chain 3 does count as a double crochet, and it will be part of the lineup in the count of above this double crochet here. So you notice that we have our chain 1 corner right here. So in our next stitch, double crochet, and double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. and in the chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Okay, so between this chain 1 space and this chain 1 space, you're going to have 11 double crochets. So here we have 1. Now, when you have this double crochet that's part of your corner, make sure you pick up the chain stitch that's above it, because if you skip it, your count will be off. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, here's 10. So my 11th one is going into that chain 1 space. That's what you want to have. Each row will have 11. So we got 6 sides to this hexagon. So you want to make sure from the chain 1 space, that includes that single or that double crochet, that you got 11 across and then chain 1. So continue that all the way around. That's our repeat, and I will meet you at the end where this will stop our flower, and then I'll show you how to do the square next. Alright, on the last corner, which I have done, a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same space. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We had to make sure we have 11 there. Now we're going to slip stitch at the top of chain 3. Cut our yarn and finish it off. Okay. And here we have our flower block. Since a lot of this information is still fresh in your head, I suggest that you make a second one so that your purse will be reversible. So let's move on to the tutorial part for our square and triangle. I'm going to add a little pause to this video, but I wanted to bring in the squares. We will be doing a form of a granny square, where we will start off with the 3 double crochets, and then each row will be of straight double crochets, and our last row across will have, from the chain 1 to the chain 1, we'll have 11 double crochets, as like our hexagon has. Okay, so that way we can match them up when we sew them in. So I brought the colors out because these are the colors of yarn that I have chosen for making of my purse. You notice that I have 2 greens, and then I have the various shades of the blue. So you'll want to make 12 in total of the squares, 6 for the front and 6 for the back. Whatever colors you choose is what you want to do. If you're going to do it like mine, you'll see that I have 2 green, and then I have 1 of each of the 4 blue colors. So let's begin with our square, whichever color you want to start off with first, and we're going to make a magic circle for the beginning, so let's get ready. So to begin our square, I always suggest when you do a magic circle to have at least 8 inches of yarn, so that way you can have it for weaving in purposes. And here we're going to start our magic circle. I always like to tighten that first chain stitch. That's just my preference. So let's chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This will count as our first double crochet. We're going to place 2 more double crochets in the ring, chain 2. Okay, so we're going to begin our repeat now. We're going to place 3 double crochets into the ring, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. Go ahead and do that 2 more times. At the end of your second or your 4th set of chain, or the 3 double crochets, do not chain 2. I'll show you what to do so we can move up to our next row. Alright, we have our 4 sets of 3 double crochets, so let's pull our magic circle closed. Now to build up, we're going to place a half double crochet into the top of the chain 3. Okay, this half double crochet will act as if it was the chain 2. So now let's chain 3. This will be our first double crochet. Double crochet into that space, chain 1, and then 2 double crochets in the same space. This will be covering over that half double crochet you used instead of chain 2. Okay, and you'll notice here that we have our chain 3 from our first row. So find where you inserted that half double crochet at, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in that same space. So there's 1. We're going to put in our second one, our third one, and then we're at our corner again. We're going to place 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Chain 1, slide your work over if you need to, and 1 and 2. Now since we had the chain on this side, make sure that you slide it over, and right there where your double crochet is, that you pick up that on that right side, because if you're right-handed, pick up that what could be considered the hidden stitch, and that's where you want to place your first double crochet of the 3 that's needed to go across the 3. Okay, and in our next space you'll do the 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Continue around until you get to here. I'll show you what to do to build up to the next row. Okay, so before we end this row, make sure that you have 7 between each chain 1 of the double crochets. So you have 7 double crochets. That'll include the 2 in the chain 1, or the chain 2 space, the 3, and then the 2 in the chain 2 space. So you want 7, 7, 7, and 7. Okay? After you have confirmed that, let's go ahead and slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, and then chain 3. And that'll build us up. This will be our last row of this size square that we're doing. So the chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so let's double crochet in the next stitch. And then in our corner, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. Okay, and as before, make sure you pick up that hidden stitch. On this particular row between the 2 chain 1s, we want to have 11 double crochets. So I have 2 here, and in this one that can be hidden because it's in that corner, here's our 3rd one. Okay, so you'll go all the way across, and the last 2 that you have, and then chain 1, you should have 11 double crochets. So go ahead and continue all the way around, and I'll meet you here so we can finish this little square. So the last thing we're going to do, which I think you already know, is slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. But now before you cut your yarn, we're going to use the tail here to sew on our pieces together. So cut probably about 15 inches. And bring it on through. Whoops. Hit my cup, my drink. It's nice to have a drink close by when you're crocheting. And then of course you want to shape your block so it'll all ease into place. Okay, and then here we have our completed square. Go ahead and make a total of 12. Whichever colors you choose, however you think they will look nice together. And let's move on to our triangles. Alright, let's make our triangle. You always want to start with the tail so you can weave that in later with after your magic circle. And here we're going to start our magic circle. I always suggest that you tighten that chain that's on your magic circle, so that way it'll be pretty snug the whole time. So here we're going to chain 2 and 2 half double crochets into the circle. Whoops, I just did a double, sorry. There we go, there's 1 and 2. Chain 2, 3 half double crochets into the circle. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1, 2. And one more time, 3 half double crochets into the circle. Alright, and I like to place the end between my finger and thumb and pull the tail with my other hand. There we go. We'll weave in that circle tail later. So here we have 3, and that'll help us start our triangle. So in order for this side to connect to this side, we're going to do a half double crochet. So yarn over into the second chain and half double crochet. Chain 1. Alright, now in this half double crochet space, we're going to place, here, chain one more time. That'll count as a half double crochet. So we're going to place a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and a half double crochet, all in that same space. Okay, and then slide your work over, and in the same space that you did the half double crochet at the top of that chain 2, we're going to place a single crochet. And single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Now this first one might seem hidden a little bit, so you have to work that one in. And then our third one. And here we are at our chain 2 space again. Half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, half double crochet. Okay, and then pull that half double crochet back, because our post is right here. We want to place our first single crochet in that chain that goes to that half double crochet post. So there's 1 single crochet, 2, and 3. And here we are at our chain 2 space again. Half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, half double crochet, and we pull our half double crochet back, and we're going to single crochet on that right side of the post. So there's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and 3 single crochet. We're going to slip stitch at the top of that chain. Chain 1. After our chain 1, which will count as a single crochet, we have 1 more stitch before our chain 1 space. So in that 1 stitch, we're going to place a half double crochet. In our chain 1 space, we're going to place a half double crochet, double crochet, a treble crochet, so you want to wrap it twice on your hook, and slide everybody over, and then we're going to go in the same space a double crochet, a half double crochet, and then slide everybody over. We still have our post, and we have that 1 chain that we have to add another stitch to, and that will get a half double crochet. Okay, you see our little point right here. And then we're going to continue on with single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You'll notice you'll have one more stitch before your chain one space. In that one space, or that one stitch left, we're going to do our half double crochet. In our chain one space, we're going to do like we did here at this other corner, half double crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, and slide everybody over, a double crochet, a half double crochet, and then our next stitch, we don't want to miss it, so we want to slide it over so you can see it. We're going to place a half double crochet in that. Okay, you with me still? I hope I'm not going too fast for you. So we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. We got our 1 stitch left, half double crochet, and in our chain one space, half double crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, slide them over, double crochet, half double crochet, and slide them over, and don't forget our hidden stitch here, half double crochet, and then we're going to do single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to slip stitch into that chain one space. Okay, so here's our triangle. Be sure to weave in for your magic circle, and make sure you have a long tail so that you can sew it in to the squares at our purse. Now that we have all of our squares and triangles completed, let's start attaching our squares first. Be sure that you have your tails woven in to your flower piece here, and then we'll start. Here I am weaving in mine. I'm going to show you how I do it. I go through the center of the bottom of the stitch. This is the one I'm working on right now. And I usually go through a certain section 2 or 3 times to lock that in. You'll notice that I'm going to go over the first one and then into the rest. Back to the other side. Make sure you have enough stretch room. And then I'm going to go over the top of that one and go back into the same thing and come out the other end. Okay, pull it out so you have the ease that you need for any future stretching. And there we go, it is locked in. I'm going to do the same thing for this outside one. So make sure yours are done, and then we'll get started on the squares. Now, one of the first things you're going to want to do is, since you have multiple colors, is you're going to want to decide on how you want to set up your squares. Here I'm just randomly putting them out here, but if you also notice, I have two green ones. So I don't want to set the two green ones next to each other, but I want to set them to where they'll complement the colors. You'll notice I have a lot of tails here. Those are from the squares that I will be sewing the squares onto our hexagon with. So I want to try and balance the colors. Here, let me put the camera out. Hang on just a second. You don't want to see my treats. Here's what I've done is I've placed the colors where I think they might look balanced at. If I feel that I want to change them around, I can. But this is what you want to do, is try to get this. Now, through the nature of filming, you will be making a second one. Here's one that I have already done. So what I have done was I have found how I want my colors to be, and I sewed them on. So for this, you want to find out how you want your colors to be. You can have the green opposite of each other, or you can have it off one. Whatever you think gives it balance. I'm going to show you next how to sew these squares on. And we're going to sew all our squares on first, because sewing on the triangles will be a lot easier that way. So let's get started with the squares. To thread our needle in a simple way, you want to place the yarn between your four fingers. Make it kind of taut, and then bring your needle up from the bottom, and then pinch at the bottom of the needle. You'll have a small folded section of yarn. Take that folded section and work it through the eye of the needle. That makes it easier to put something on. Now, when we stopped our blocks, we stopped in an off location. So we want to take our sewing thread, we want to go to the chain 1 space. So go behind, you're going to do a running stitch, and in front and behind and in front. You want to go under the 2 chains in a running stitch, and you want to come out at that chain 1. Okay, and pull it all the way to the end and give it a little bit of ease. Now go back under the 2 chain, go back 1 and pull that through, and then go back out the chain 1. This will help lock that in place there. Okay, so we are now at the corner of our block. Now this chain 1, we're going to match it up to the chain 1 here on the hexagon. So there is a right and a wrong to these squares. You'll notice that the nice smooth looking uniform is the right side. The back side has a lot more loops. Doesn't look as smooth. It has more texture look. So this would be considered the wrong side. Whichever side you choose, hopefully it's the right side, you want to be uniform in it. Okay? So we're going to take where our thread comes out at, and we're going to place the 2 wrong sides together. And I like placing my hexagon in front of me. And then you're going to be picking up only one stitch when we do this running stitch. So you want to bring your needle in through the chain 1, and then you're going to go through the next one on both of the front piece and the back piece. And then to lock this in, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up that chain 1 on both pieces, and we're just going to do like that little running stitch there, and then we're going to go back through the same two that we just went through previously. Now we're going to start making our running stitch. Now you'll notice that each one of these squares on both the hexagon and on the square has 11 stitches. So you should line up each one of your stitches when going from the front to the back to pick up just one stitch of each one of them. So we're going to go through one and we're going to pick up one. We're going to go through this one and just pick up this one. Pick up that one stitch and pick up that one stitch. Now I did play with this. I tried a whip stitch, I tried both stitches, I tried many things, and I found for me the look that I was trying to achieve, that the running stitch with one yarn from each of these gave the look that I was looking for. Now if you choose to do a whip stitch, that's fine, that's up to you. So I am just showing you what I have found that I was comfortable with. Now you notice that I did do a running stitch all the way down. Go ahead and pull. It's not going to hurt it any. Okay, and when you get to the end, just kind of give it a little ease pull back. We still have one more double crochet here and one more over here, and here's our little chain one. So here's our chain one and our chain one, and we need to reinforce this corner just like we did the other one. So we're going to go through it, go back through the double crochet, and then we're going to come forward through the chain one space, and that'll help reinforce that corner right there. So this is what we have. You can see a little bit of the color, but it's okay. Now we're going to take this and we're going to go through only the hexagon one to the back. Make sure that you pulled your yarn all the way to the back, and we're going to take the green and we're going to weave it into the green section of the block. Now you notice that I went down so that I can pick up the center of the double crochets on the last row, and then I'm going to go over one and go back through. Oh, my scissors wanted to help me already. Okay, and then we're going to go over one and back through again, and this will help lock in our weaving so it won't come undone. And then cut your yarn, and this is what we have. Okay, you want to keep on going so that we have all of the squares attached. You'll find that this chain one will be used twice, one for this square and one for this square. So go ahead and do that. Attach all your squares, and then I'll show you how to attach your triangles. So this is what we have so far. All our squares are attached. Now we're ready to move on to our triangles. Here I have one ready already. We're going to do the same thing because we stopped here. Go ahead and go under those chain tops of the double crochet and all those other stitches until you get to the treble. The treble is taking place of the chain one. So bring your needle out there and then go back, stretch it just a little bit, go back that one stitch, and we're going to lock it back in. Oops, here we go, I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, so now that we're at the top, we're ready to start sewing in our triangles. Our triangle will be fitting between the two squares, so when you start, you want to have your thread down here at the bottom outside corner. I'm right-handed, so I will be going on to the right side first. So with the right side facing up, we're going to take the two wrong sides and bring them together. Now since our treble is considered our chain one, we're going to be going into that chain one on the square. We're going to go into the double crochet of the next one. Now remember, this big tall one right here on the end is your treble. So go into the double crochet on the triangle, and we're going to go through that end to reinforce it. So, oops, into that chain one and come out through the two double crochets, and then we'll snug that up just a little bit. And continuing down, you want to place 1 for 1 on each side and just do your basic running stitch, making sure that you pick up the next stitch. I've done it myself where I've picked up the same stitch and made my count off, so you want to make sure that you have the next stitch. Sometimes it can be confusing, but it happens. So we want to continue down. And 1 for 1. 1 for 1. Whoops. Try not to pick up part of another strand of yarn, because it will pull and could distort your stitching. Okay, so let me pull these through and then stretch it just a little. Now here we are at the treble. Now I'm going to go through the top chain and that first loop. So I'm actually picking up 2 parts of what I'm looking for this corner. And I'm going to go into this chain 1, and then I'm going to go back through the double crochet, and then through that chain 1 again, which it's already done, so I can go right straight through. Okay, so that's secured it on that side. Now I'm going to go to my other side. I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to go through the hexagon and pick up the chain 1. Let's see, where is it at? Right here. So I'm going to pick that one up, and I'm going to go through the double crochet on the square and pick up the double crochet on the triangle. Now we're going to reinforce our corner here, so we're going to tighten it up and go through that treble and the chain 1 of the square again, so that we can reinforce that corner, and then back through the 2 double crochets, and then we're going to start picking up our stitches one by one going down. This is kind of a slow process, but it does work nicely. And it does give a nice look at the end. So let's pull that out a little. Okay, here I am at my treble. So I'm going to go through the 2 of there and into my chain 1. Here it is. And I'm going to reinforce that corner. So I'm going to go through both of those doubles, now through the treble and the chain 1. And tighten it up. Now we're going to weave this end in, so go back through the double on the square to the back. Pick up one part of a stitch here and then go to the center of our stitches we did on the last row. Just pick up whatever you can, and this is how we're going to weave in our end. So go over that first yarn and into the other stitches to weave back. Go over that first one. Now, the reason why we go over the first one is because if you go back in the same hole, it will undo itself, and you don't want that to happen. So go over one and then through the center of the other ones. Now on this, because it was out here at the pulling section, I went ahead and did it 3 times. So here we have 1 triangle sewn in. Go ahead and finish sewing in the other 5, and then we will be moving on to our next step. So as you can see, I have completed 2 of them, and you will have to also. So if you haven't completed the second one, go ahead and start the video back over again and go ahead and create a second one, because it will be a reversible purse. After you've completed the second one, we will continue on to the outsiding and the strap. right, here we've gone all the way around. I love this little fringe. The little rosettes, I think, help add to the flower theme. We'll be adding some more in between. That's going to be totally optional for you. But to continue on with our finishing of our edge on the front and on the back. Okay, my square is going to be the center top. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a little stitch marker right up here to say that that's the center. And when I get to this point, I'm going to make a rosette. In the meanwhile, I'm going to take just the front and I'm going to half double crochet in each one of our stitches. Remember, you have 11 across. So when I get here to the middle one, I'm going to stop and I'm going to show you how to make the rosette. So go ahead and half double crochet up to here and I'll meet you there. Alright, so I've come to the center. So what I would like for you to do is just come down and place a single crochet. I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, what's she doing? It'll work, trust me. I've already played with it. Okay, so we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And in the third chain, do not count the loop on the hook, but in the third chain, we're going to place 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This little rosette will be like a button closure for our purse, and on the other side we will have a little loop that will come around it. Now in the next chain we're going to place 3 double crochets. You see our little rosette starting to curl all by itself. Okay, we got another one. We're going to place 3 in that next one. 1, 2, and 3. And in the last one, we're going to place 3 as well. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Now I'm going to have you encourage this thing to close up just a little bit more by twisting it. And then, like we did on the rosettes, I would like for you to pick up one of the chains and do a slip stitch. Okay, and that'll help lock that little guy in place. And then back where our single crochet was, do another single crochet. This time, chain 1. Well, let's go back here. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to pick up that half double crochet and we're going to slip stitch into that guy, and that'll bring our height back up. Okay, and then in the next one, just start your half double crochets around until you get to this side, and I'll meet you there, and then we'll start on the back side. When I got here to where I meet at the edge, I went ahead and put 1 stitch in the same as that first one that we started to go around with. So I'm going to flip it over, and on the other side I'm going to place my next stitch in the same stitch. So basically I'm putting 2 half double crochets in this stitch as I go my top loops around. So I'm going to continue on. with the half double crochets until I get to my square. Now my square, I'm going to line it up here, and where I stop at, I'm going to come back one. So come up to this point from here with your half double crochets, and I'll meet you there and show you what we are going to do. Alright, here we are. Now I am going to make a chain stitch that will be enough to go over my loop or my rosette. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm going to wrap it around. Looks like I need more. 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, that'll do me. That way I can, okay, so I did 13 chains. Now I'm going to go ahead and we did this one, so on the next one over, I'm going to do my half double crochet. Okay, that'll give us that loop that we need to close. And I'm going to continue the half double crochet all the way to the side right here. Okay, and when I get down here, I'm going to place, after this one, I'm going to place half double crochet in that last one, and then I'm going to slip stitch to this here. So I'll meet you there, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, here we are at that end. So I'm going to place a half double crochet in there, and I'm going to come up here to this top one and slip stitch, and that will be the end of this particular row. And the next thing we will do is start our handle. Now before we go on to making our strap or our handle, depending on how long you want, I noticed that our little rosette is a little floppy. So I've threaded my needle and I've set it flat down. Now I'm going to come up from behind, and I'm going to leave a tail so I can tie it in, and then I'm going to crisscross over some of these guys, and I'm going to go in there kind of like sewing on a button. I hate for this to stretch out and in the future not be what it was intended for. So my suggestion is to go ahead and stitch down this rosette. Okay, and I guess if I would have thought about this clearly, I would have used green, but I'm okay. So whatever you choose to do. Another suggestion you can do is on the inside here, you can place a pony bead or a bead that you can fit inside your needle, and that would certainly look really cute. So that's how I sewed down the rosette. It's not going to go anywhere or stretch out. Now for the purpose of this video, I am going to make a short handle, but I encourage you to make whatever length you choose to do. Here we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to chain 7, and we're going to come back to the third stitch on the hook, and we're going to go across with double crochets. And if you can hear my construction workers outside my house, they're working on the road. We've been having a lot of construction work on our street, so I was trying to find a quiet time, but I guess it ain't gonna happen. Alright, so I have, with the chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets across, and I chain 2 for the next row. Okay, and for this we're going to go on to the next row, just do double crochet across, and it'll be a chain 2, double crochet across, chain 2, double crochet across, chain 2, oh, turn. So this is how we're going to do our strap, and like I said, I'm going to show you, just for tutorial sake, how to attach your strap. So go ahead and make it however long you would like. I'm going to make a short one just for the tutorial. So I'll see you probably in about 20 inches. Alright, now my strap turned out to be about 30 inches. When I started this project, I had half of a skein of this buff speck. So it wasn't as long as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a cross body. So I'm going to take the last 2 to 3 rows, and on the side of my purse, you know, here we got our little rosettes here, I'm going to place it underneath. Now you notice that on one side I got one color, and on the other side I got another color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the color which I have here, which is the blue color, and I'm going to do a running stitch along the outside edge, kind of like a rectangle, along the half double crochets over to the end of the double crochet and up. I'm going to do a little running stitch around there, and then on the green side I'm going to do the same thing. And then for this side I'm going to take my strap and do the same thing over there. Oh, don't forget to weave in your ends. After you do that, I have one more thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to show you that right now. I've cut some lengths of yarn. Where's my ruler? Okay, so these are 12 inches long, and I'm going to take one of each color of the 2 that I have in my hand here, and I'm going to fold it in half so that I have the 2 6 inches. And with my crochet hook, I'm going to go into that middle, whoops, I got the camera screen again, into the middle of the 5 stitches that I have here. And I'm going to pull my fringe through, and we're going to make like a little fringe tassel here. Now I found that adding 2 would be the best, so that it's not overpowering. And if you want to add 4 or more, that's up to you. Now I'm going to take another 2 colors, just random colors here, and in between our little rosette with the fringe, with the chain stitch, I'm going to do the same thing. So go all the way around up to where our ends start, and we will be done with our purse. And I'll show you what it looks like in just a few minutes. And here it is. my finished granny flower bag with rosette chain fringe and a rosette closure. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial with me, and I hope you make one and share it with me. I love this pattern. Have a great day and happy crocheting.